So I had a request from Lauren to go over a little bit of like a bulk listing process. So I'm going to show you as much as I can, kind of how I do this. So when I would say that if you're going to do a bulk listing, situation, I only usually do about 20 and 25 a day. Obviously, if there's people that have teams or multiple people or very easy files, like if I was just listing PNG files, I could do well over 20 to 25 a day versus if I'm doing alpha sets or something that's going to have extra PDFs and extra steps there, you don't do as much. So, with all that to be said, I'm going to show you guys a example using my Western Mamas and just like my Western type PNGs that I had listed for my font. And the first thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that we're designing something that is going to sell. And we want to see, is that going to be a year round sale or is that going to be a holiday specific so that we know when we need to list, when it's going to peak, and all the things. So I have a back to school PNG pulled up here because May is when it really starts to sell. It peaks in July and then it trends down in August and is back pretty low by September. Except our Western PNGs are very different, right? That's more of a year-round evergreen niche. So you're going to have a pretty steady flow of traffic and sales here throughout the year versus just 2 to 3 months. So that's the first thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that we are designing and listing things that are going to sell. Even if it's a holiday, that's fine. That's great. Just make sure you have it listed before it peaks because you want to make sure you have your things ready for everyone. And the design that I was going to show you guys is these. They're very simple. I tend to do a little bit more of the simple PNGs versus more intricate, but it is just a cow print design. And the way that I list these to where I do them in bulk is I get my main listing done first. So I have my listing helper with ChatGPT. I have that linked for you guys in the Skool community. And what I have to do is I have to tweak a little bit. It tends to give me a little bit too much copy paste to where it's just repeating words and things. So I do have to make a few more tweaks than I would normally do if I was just doing everything by hand, but it's a great starting point here. Then I just kind of tell chat what I needed to do differently and what it does not need to include because it does get very keyword stuffy in the description parts, unfortunately. But I love this little section right here. And you can always upload an example of one of your other listings and have it go off of that and then tweak from there. So what I do is I get my main listing done first. So I get all the different photos I'm going to need. I go ahead and make sure it is in the correct file category. I go ahead and copy and paste the title. I make sure that I don't repeat if at all possible. Go ahead and get the listing up here and then copy paste and edit the description because this part of the description is pretty much standard for me through everything, terms of use, which is just to see the photos, refunds, copyright notice, and my link back to my Etsy shop. So the only thing that I really change is this section right here. So I just copy and paste that out. And I do need to do some more editing because I don't like how keyword stuffy that was. And then I don't have any variations or anything like that for my digital items. And the other important thing is your tags, right? So it gives you a whole bunch of tags here. And what I like to do is I like to get all of the tags done. And then when I duplicate this listing to do all the other names, I'm only having to change the important pieces, right? So if it's a mama design and then I'm turning it into a yaya design, then I just want to make sure that I'm swapping the mama words, the mama phrases to yaya, but I don't have to start completely from scratch because the rest of this listing is pretty much relevant except for who it's targeting when it comes to that specific name. So the pricing, the quantity, everything else stays the same. So I like to do these if it's the same design style, but just some different variations of names. Same for mascots and things like that in bulk. And then the next batch that I do would be a different similar. I would start from one listing, completely revamp that entire listing to the new style in the new set. And then I have my base to duplicate from, right? So by doing this, I was able to just come back in, duplicate, and swap. Instead of Cowgirl Mama, I did Cowgirl Grandma, did my Yaya, my Western Yaya, and then another different thing that I did for this, and I'll just go ahead and search, is I was able to go in and bulk list all of the names, right? So I ended up doing probably about 20, I believe. I don't always do that many. Sometimes I'll do less, sometimes I'll do more, and then I need to go in and make my bulk listing. But just for like the sake of showing you guys, that's how I do it. So I've already researched the product, I've created the product in bulk. Usually I do these designs in the word builder tool. Then I throw them into the bulk mockup so I can get all my mockups done at the same time. I do the background. I don't like to do a lot of the shirts, but I do have shirts in some of my listings that I can do those for. And then once I get my base, then I can duplicate. And if you don't know where that is, right here, I just go in and duplicate that listing. Once I go from there, it'll pop it up. It'll show a duplicate of everything there. And then I just then change the important part. So I swap out the photos. I swap out instead of Western Yaya, maybe we're doing a Gigi. So we're a Western Gigi here. And then I swap out the file. I change the Gigi portions in the description and the Gigi in the tags. So instead of Yaya PNG, it would be Gigi PNG, Western Gigi PNG. And that's pretty much it. Then I'm ready to go ahead and list again. I try not to do too crazy because I don't want to completely like saturate my shop with 100 designs with the same like design style. But these are all names that I have sold from. And so that is one thing, is like these have sold before. So usually if Western is popular, it's going to continue to be popular because that's an evergreen niche. So just be mindful of that when you're listing. And I hope that this helped give a little bit of insight into how I do that when it comes to doing a bulk listing. And if you have any questions, just let me know.